Greetings one, greetings all. It's time for a spooky story, not quite a ghost story, but a story which I hope you'll find interesting. Now, during Most Haunted, obviously they've brought up the issue of the witches of Denbigh, the three witches, and a number of people have said, oh, that's a load of absolute twaddle, a lot of nonsense, a lot of guff. Excuse me. It isn't, of course. They are spot on. They have done their research, because the three witches did exist, and they are basically part of the history of the town of Denbigh. Okay, it may have slipped out of consciousness in some way, but they are there, and if you do a little bit of research in Denbigh Library, you will see their names cropping up. In particular, Ancient and Modern Denbigh. Search that book out in the library and look them up. Okay, well, the three witches, Sydney, Gwen and Sioned Garn, lived in Denbigh. Sydney actually lived in Lenton Pool, lived in a little shack near to Lenton Pool, and she would practice the black arts. She was one of the first exponents of the problem, reaction, solution paradigm. What would happen is she'd call up a number of spirits that would infiltrate and begin to haunt houses belonging to the influential, the wealthy, the landowners around Denbigh, the people with money. She had no money. She had money, she wouldn't know what to do with it anyway. There was then a problem. She waited for the reaction, which was, oh, we need to get rid of these spirits. And she would offer the solution. She would go in there and exorcise those spirits, therefore getting a little bit of payment, be it firewood, be it food, be it, I don't know, influence in society. And she was often called upon to do such things. Gwen, of course, she's been accused of eating babies. Not true, absolutely untrue. A kidnapper, yes, a kidnapper of babies, but certainly wouldn't eat babies. Why would she? They don't taste very nice, do they? And the third witch, Sioned Garn, again, a Denbigh woman, younger than those two, probably an adept, a pupil, if you will, of those two. Now then, you must excuse my cough. It's the gases associated with the witches as soon as you discuss witches, witchery, witchcraft in Denbigh. If you are a sensitive like me, then you will suddenly start to breathe in the witch gases, the gases that their presence basically summons the gases. One thing about witchcraft, one thing about the black arts, is that it doesn't actually take place within a certain time zone. It takes place across time. If of course, the spirits of Gwen, the spirits of Sydney, the spirits of Sioned are summoned, then they can appear at any time and quite often will manifest in all sorts of strange situations. Now then, witches are of the earth. They are very natural beings. They would make up potions from herbs, from wild plants, from wild flowers. They're totally of the earth. They know the craft. They know, there was no such thing as Morrison's in those days. You couldn't go in there and buy some cough medicine. They would have to make up a potion. And if it worked, everyone was happy. If it didn't work, people got a little bit angry. And because they were different to everyone else, they were thought of as, well, they were under suspicion all the time. So it was actually a very dangerous game that they played. Now then, because they're associated with the earth, I want to let you into a little secret which you must not pass on. The thing about witches is that they do survive. What happens is they turn into something slightly different. you'll have to bear with me with this. Witches flying through the air. What do they sit on? They sit on basically a broomstick. That's the initial description of what a witch would sit on. What they actually would sit on is a bough or a branch of a tree. You see, witches are closely associated with trees. Quite often you'll walk along a path or a wood and someone will say to you, that's the witch's tree there. It's there for a reason, probably because that tree does contain the essence of a former witch, a witch that lived, a witch that lives as long as the tree lives. And in a churchyard in Llanrhider there are 3 trees. I'm not going to tell you which churchyard, but in Llanrhider there are 3 trees within the churchyard. Those trees possess the essence, possess what remains of Sydney, of Gwen, of Sioned. Sydney summoned up a demon for Mr. Peake, unfortunately. Peake's Lane, you've heard of that? Well, that's from an old Denbigh family. Anyway, Mr. Peake, his house, was possessed, and Sydney went along to get rid of the possession of the spirit that she herself had conjured. Unfortunately, it was such a strong demon, she was not able to exorcise that particular demon. She was taken to Lenton Pool, where she was drowned and left for dead. Her body was ushered away by her friends. Not everybody hated the old crones, and she was placed against the wall out of Denbigh towards Ruthin, against the wall of a graveyard in Llanrhider, where unfortunately she did die, and she was buried outside of the hallowed ground. Gwen, meanwhile, she did not eat babies. Unfortunately, as an ugly old crone, she did kidnap a baby. She was not able to have children of her own because nobody liked her. She was unfanciful. She wasn't that fit, I'm afraid. And she stole a baby. She was chased throughout the countryside. Eventually, she was caught. She was tried, and she herself was drowned as a witch. Her body was taken to that area. Their acolyte, Sioned, you are judged quite often by the company you keep, and she paid the ultimate price for her friendship. She was then hounded, and eventually she was tried as a witch, found guilty, and her head was severed. Her body was taken again to that area, buried without the churchyard, outside of the churchyard, next to her 2 friends. Over the years, something quite peculiar happened. 3 trees grew. 3 trees grew from where those witches were buried. What's the significance of this? Well, quite often travellers, as they pass by, hardened travellers even, will fear walking past those 3 trees. It's as if they can hear some cackling, as if they can hear some gloaming going on, as if somebody evil is watching the traveller as he passes on his way from Denbigh to Ruthin. And sometimes even to this day, that those witches, those 3 women who played a significant role in Denbigh in the 1500s, they are still there, they're still watching, and they're still waiting for you, waiting for me. Anyway, thanks for listening, bye for now.